that way. You're going to get a really fantastic set of features, things like quizzing, there's drag and drop, screen recording, and software simulations. And then you're going to be able to publish all of that to Flash and to HTML5 and even to some really fantastic mobile apps that we've built for both iOS and Android, which are free from those respective app stores. You'll love them. Okay, so before we get into the demo, some of you might be wondering what's different, what's changed between Storyline 1 and Storyline 2. So here are some of our favorite new features. A lot of these are huge. Some of them are kind of minor, but much needed. Android support is obviously a huge one. Added some great new interactions, some great new animations, made some major improvements in the interface itself. We added some things that are going to help you with your productivity. So this is a major overhaul, and it's a fantastic new tool. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the demo here. So what I want to do first is I'm going to take us over to the internet, and we've put together a sample course that highlights some of our favorite features in Storyline 2. And then we went ahead and we published it, and we got it posted online. And I'll run through this, and then I'll show you afterwards how easy it is to build something like this. So here's our main slide here, and you can see hopefully that the font, the text clarity is much improved. It's really crisp and sharp now. And then around the actual slide content itself is what we call the player. Some of you might call it the wrap for this game. It's this area here. So it's totally customizable in terms of color, in terms of what you add to it. We can add some navigation buttons down here if we wanted to, volume control, C-bar, those kind of things. We've added a menu to this particular player, which would allow the user to navigate from slide to slide, depending on where they want to go. We've also added a resources tab, which is a really great way to bake in some content that you want the end user to be able to access on their machine and download to their local machine. So you can put things like Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, video files, whatever you want to do. You can bake them right into this resources tab, and then the end user will be able to pull them into their local machine. And then we've also added a contact tab, which is a really nice way to give the user some information that they might find helpful as they navigate through your course. So again, player, totally customizable. You can make it look any way you want, add whatever features you want to. It's all completely up to you. It's kind of a common theme with Storyline. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the content itself. Asking for our name, we'll go ahead and give it to them. When I click submit, we're taken to our main menu slide, and this is where we basically are going to be choosing the path that we want to take. So based on which one of these tabs we click, we're going to be branched down to the corresponding scenario. You can see that each one of them, when I hover my mouse on them, you get this cool green hover state effect. We're going to be talking about states today. And states basically allow you to assign attributes to any object on your slide. So this is an example of a hover state. So what happens when I click on one of these tabs? Well, down that corresponding pathway. So here you can see it's captured my name here in the form of a variable. Variables are a really powerful tool in Storyline. They essentially allow you to capture information and display it throughout your course. Nice way to a course feel really personal and unique to the end user. And again, we have another example of how good text looks now. We've also done a lot of work with formatting and paragraph control, so I'll talk about that in just a second. Go ahead and click next. And it takes us to an example of one of the awesome new interactions in Storyline 2. This is going to be an example of the slider. So in this particular case, we're giving the user the ability to use this horizontal slider here, and it's representing the relationship between employee health and how that affects things like absenteeism and performance and employer costs. So you're really limited by your imagination and how you use these sliders. Again, another common theme in the Storyline. We've seen some great examples, stereo equalizers, flight simulator cockpit simulations. So have some fun with the sliders. A lot of fun to work with there. And when I click next, it takes us back to our main menu. And you can see that once we've completed that first tab, we have a chart that's appeared. And that's an example of another state. This is a visited state. So we're visually indicating to a user where they've been. And we don't even use visited states to control or restrict the user's navigation. And I'll tell you what I mean by that in just a second. But for now, let's keep it moving. We'll click on the Healthy Habits tab. And this is going to be a great example of a click and reveal interaction. So we've triggered each one of these icons here to reveal a new slide layer when we click on it. So it's a slide layer. So let me show you. I'm going to click on an icon, and it brings up our slide layer. And you can put anything on a slide layer that you would put on a regular slide or a base slide. The difference is that we're basically just stacking this on top of our base slide to present some new information to the user, so that when I close it, they're right back where they started. They're not actually being branched down a whole new pathway. Other examples of a slide layer would be light boxes, pop-up menus, those kind of things. So lots of different ways to use a slide layer, but know that they're really versatile and you can use them any way you want. What I want to show you on this particular slide, though, is as I'm going through Fusion, I'm seeing these new slide layers. To see down below how right now I only have the option to move to a previous slide. I don't have the option to move forward in my course. And we set it up that way on purpose because I don't want my user to be able to move forward in the course until I know for sure that they've seen everything I want them to see. So only after I click and reveal this fourth and final slide layer, only then do they have the option to move forward in the course. So we set that up using states. I'll show you how we did that in just a little bit. And when I click next, it takes us to an example of markers. Markers are probably the easiest way to add lots of great interactivity into any slide anytime. Markers are these, in this case, these animating black circles we see. And if I hover my mouse on a marker, it's going to show some information like this. And if I actually click on a marker, open up that window, and we can drop things like video or images or audio files in there along with some extra text. So again, this is going to help get the user more hands-on with the slide content. It's going to help them get immersed with what you're trying to show them. It's so much better than just having them click next over and over again on static information slides, right? We think this is how learning really begins to happen. So I'll show you how easy it is to drop one of those markers onto a slide anytime you want. Go ahead and click next, and it takes us to an example of the screen recording software simulation tool in Storyline. This is really fantastic. So what we're doing here is we're showing an end user how to navigate through a health and fitness app. We're showing them how to use these drop-down menus, how to input information, basically giving them a tutorial on how to use this piece of software. And if we wanted to take this same exact screen recording and insert it into our course a little bit further on, but this time make it something that the user has to actually go through themselves and use these drop-down menus and input the right information, we can take this same screen recording and drop it in as a try mode a little bit later on. And we don't have to re-record, and we can make it something that's quizzable and trackable. So that's a huge feature in Storyline 2. I'm going to go ahead and click next, and we'll get to the screen recording stuff a little bit further on, but I want to get through this published version really quickly. We have so much to show you. Let's click on the Healthy Meals tab. And this is an example of a drag and drop interaction. So we're being asked to build a healthy meal. I'll go ahead and build at least a delicious meal, and I'll find out later if it's actually healthy. So once I've dragged the items that I want onto my plate, I can click Submit, and we get what's called a feedback layer. And in this case, it's an incorrect feedback layer because I have no idea what a healthy meal consists of, apparently. What we do is we build these feedback layers for you automatically. Anytime you insert a quiz slide into Storyline, we're going to build these for you automatically, and you can customize them any way you want. You can make them look any way you want, say anything you want them to, and we're going to build them for you automatically. So let's try it again. I'm going to drag back these delicious things, and I can try again with some healthier options. And once I've got the items dragged and dropped where they belong, I'll click Submit, and this time we get that corrected feedback layer letting us know that we've succeeded on that particular question. So again, we do the heavy lifting for you in so many ways with Storyline. We build these feedback layers for you automatically, and you can customize them any way you want. That includes things like buttons. Go ahead and click next, and it takes us back to our main menu, and we're making really good progress. As you can see, we've now visited 3 of our 5 tabs. So let's just keep it rolling with the balance index. And this is another great way to use variables in Storyline 2. So we're asking the user to input some information about how they spend an average day. So let's say that I'm spending a few hours with my family, and I'm probably not sleeping as much as I'd like to, mostly because I'm working too hard, and I need a little bit of time for exercise still, so that's good. So it looks like good with my day. I'll go ahead and click Submit, and when I do that, based on how the author of the course set things up, I can get some really personalized feedback about the choices that I'm making. So you can see that we set it up so that based on the decisions I'm making, I'm getting some positive feedback. We can call out some things that might be a little bit risky in my lifestyle, and then I'm able to give the end user some suggestions on things also. And no better way to make a user feel like they're taking something that's really personal and unique to them. We think that helps that user retain information. much better. So let's go ahead and click next. And it takes us back to our main menu. We're just about done, so let's go ahead and visit Onward. And this is going to be our first example of some of the work we've done with animations in Storyline 2, which is a lot of work. In this particular case, we're showing you our motion paths feature. So we're giving the user a couple options here. They can watch TV or they can go for a walk. Basically, an unhealthy choice and a healthy choice. So when I watch TV, my heart's going to suffer. It's going to move down that staircase. But as long as I'm eating carrots while I watch TV, everything's going to be fine. My heart's going to rebound. And then I'm going to have some water instead of soda. I'll eat a healthy dinner instead of Spam. And then you can see that each time I make one of these choices, that heart is actually picking up the animation from wherever we left it last time. And that's an example of what we call a relative start point. And most other software out there doesn't offer that. So by using that relative start point, we can work with the same motion path over and over again without having to build a whole new one each time. So that's a huge time saver, as you can imagine. I'll show you how that works in just a little bit. So now I'll go ahead and click next, and it takes us back to our main menu, but look what happened. So we've unlocked a quiz tab, and we only did that by visiting the other tabs first, and that's what I meant by using states, in this case visited states, to control or restrict the user's navigation. So I didn't want them to be able to jump into this quiz and take this final exam until I knew for sure that they'd seen everything else, and now they're prepared to take it. So let's go ahead and just launch this quiz. It's going to be a quick knowledge check. And this first question is a nice example of one of the multiple choice quiz types we can add to Storyline 2. Really straightforward. I'll say that all of the above impact job performance. And when I answer each of these questions, we're going to see this really familiar feedback layer that we build for you automatically that are totally customizable. Next quiz question is a great example of a type 1 quiz type. So we're being asked to have the best work-life balance. She does not. She is on edge. She looks like she's got a good balance going on. So I'll choose her. I'll click submit. And again, get these feedback layers. All right. So I'll go ahead and continue on. And it takes us to our results slide. So not only are our results slides a great way to visually indicate to a learner how they did on a test or an exam, these are totally customizable. You can add photographic characters to them. You can pull in their name. You can make certificates out of these. You can add a print button and so forth. Control exactly what they say. The exciting part about these results slides is that we're actually collecting all of the user data as they go through the course, and that's going to be things like who they are, how long they're looking at the content, how they're answering quiz questions, which slides they've seen, which they haven't. And if you're interested in collecting all that data, then you'll want to host your project in what we call a learning management system. And there are a ton of them out there. LMS for short. We have our own version of one called Articulate Online, which if you want to email us, it's success@articulate.com. We'd be more than happy to talk to you about. A lot of you are probably already using your own LMS, and as long as it supports SCORM, AICC, or Team